I'm obsessed with the culture at United Wholesale Mortgage. There's a magic there. There's a spark that fires up all the positive energy that you can muster. You can feel it when you walk through the door, when you make eye contact with the security guard. There's something special there. And I was intrigued. So I've been interviewing a couple of the key executives. And then in the midst of all of this, their CEO, Mat Ishbia, wrote a book. Here it is. It's called Running the Corporate Offense, Lessons in Effective Leadership from the Bench to the Boardroom. I'm a little surprised that I would be interested in anything that has a picture of a guy holding a basketball on it, because I'm not a sports fan. But I am very interested in the psychology behind high-performance athletes. What goes on? What's that psychology that makes them tick? So I was intrigued with this book, and I read it, and I loved it. Well, most of it. So much so that I felt compelled to share some of the key points with you. And before my automotive and non-banking colleagues start to roll their eyes and say, oh, well, this is a mortgage company, this doesn't apply to me, we're different, don't do that, please. Think again, guess again, and read on. There's so much that we can learn from other companies in other industries. Here's some of the things that I liked about this book. In the foreword, Tom Izzo, the basketball coach for Michigan State, starts out by saying that Matt wasn't born to be a star athlete. He doesn't have the athletic build, and he just doesn't have the DNA. But yet, he's a great leader. This is the story of an underdog, and I love any story about the underdog. So Mat Ishbia now runs the #1 wholesale mortgage company in the country. He is the CEO, and he built the company up from scratch. One of the key messages in the book is that you don't have to be a captain to be a leader. It's very much around the idea of servant leadership. It's all about supporting each other to be successful, both on an individual level and on a team level. The teams actually meet in what they call daily huddles. So the business philosophy at United Wholesale Mortgage runs along the lines of basketball sporting kind of methodology. So they have these team huddles, and I love this idea because not only does it inspire everybody on a daily basis, but it brings everybody together so that if metrics are starting to trend out or something isn't right, you can catch it right away before it becomes a major issue, and then support each other to remove whatever roadblock it is so that you can continue on to be successful. Much of the culture here, I feel, is around speed and agility. It's about doing things differently so that they can get to the result faster. The next point, there's a chapter about leading in the weeds. And when I first read this, just reading the chapter gave me the chills because I didn't think I'd like it. I don't like this idea of micromanagement. I don't like the idea of leaders being down in the weeds with people, because when that happens, it can disempower the entire organization. We hire people for a reason. We hire smart people for a reason. We need to let them perform and do what they're good at. And when I saw this leading in the weeds, I got a shiver because I started to think about all the experiences I had when leaders did not allow me to do that, to do my job effectively. But that's not where Mat Ishbia is coming from. What he's saying is that he absolutely loves the details in all aspects of his business, and he loves to drill down deep whenever he can, whether that's sitting next to an underwriter, or if it could be sitting next to somebody in the cafeteria. He likes to sit next to somebody new every time, so that he really gets a pulse on the business. So he's not coming at it from you got to be down in the weeds micromanaging everything. Far from it. It's more of a, hey, you really got to understand some of the details of your business and drill down at certain points in order to do that. So I got over that, and I agree with where he's coming from. He also holds a meeting with his sales leaders and most of his leaders, about 500 people, on a weekly basis. He doesn't agree with this idea of the messaging flowing through certain channels, because that is a waste of time and it can distort the message. He wants to make sure that his sales force hears the message directly from him. There's something in this book about a shot clock. I don't know what a shot clock is. It's something to do with basketball, I assume. But in the business context, what Mat Ishbia is saying is that he gives each one of his leaders in his leadership meeting 2 minutes. They get 2 minutes and they're timed to present their position. It could be communication, it could be the priorities. They have 2 minutes. And I love this because it forces clarity of thought and is a very efficient way of running a meeting. Now you might think, well, what about all the, the interaction and the back and forth that should take place to work through issues? That's accomplished with a packet of information that's sent around ahead of time so that people need to be prepared for the meeting. This reminds me a lot of the Jeff Bezos kind of approach, where he requires a memo to be distributed ahead of time before the actual meeting. And I do like this approach because it prevents a lot of the positioning and ego and the to and fro and discussions about what's happened in the past and a lot of the time-wasting elements that we see in meetings today. So it's focused and efficient. The other thing that Mat Ishbia believes in is that he doesn't want people really spending time talking about past events unless they have some relevance. If they're relevant to something that's going to happen in the future or an improvement effort, then yet so be it. And so many of us have sat in these meetings where people talk about past events and rehash history. So again, this message of speed, agility, and efficiency. In these leadership meetings, phones and laptops are banned. So it's about staying focused, it's about getting the job done, and not being distracted with technology. Having talked about meetings, Thursdays meetings are banned. There are no meetings allowed. And this is by design. This is to enable the leaders, and Mat himself is no exception. He follows this rule strictly. This is a time to connect with people, to really develop those one-on-one kind of relationships. This book is about a positive mindset. It's about being on. There is a no-blame culture at United Wholesale Mortgage, and they uphold the 6 pillars of their culture. And from what I can see, they practice this day in and day out. It's very much a supportive coaching kind of environment where people want each other and teams to succeed. And if they don't, if there's a problem or an issue, they grab a hold of it early on and they help that person through it instead of point the finger or blame. There's a magic here to this culture, and I believe that Mat Ishbia is the ultimate example of what Jack Welch calls the chief meaning officer. He really is able to articulate what his vision and mission is for this company and bring people on board and galvanize the support and unleash all of that energy and potential that he has with his people. So I would encourage you to read it. I really love the book, even though it's got a basketball on the front of it. And I will continue to search out leaders with gravitas and share stories with you. Keep hustling and dream it, brand it, own it.